Many times you'll see after salvation takes place in the Old Testament, there'll be feasting and rejoicing and a change of the heart where we go from being selfish and all of a sudden all the food is being distributed to people, gifts to the poor. There's rejoicing and it's beautiful. God wants to change your heart. This man Haman had everything, but it didn't satisfy him. He had wealth and health and children. Should have caused him to say, "Who is this God that's so good to me?" Instead, he was greedy. And one man, part of God's covenant people, Mordecai, wouldn't bow down to him. The world is trying to pursue things like health and wealth, prosperity, honor. I'll step on your toes at whatever cost. But it never satisfies. They want more and more and more. How many millionaires have you heard that kill themselves? They think it's some sort of joke. I have everything that man can want. And I'm desperately lonely. And there's a void in my heart. I can't understand it. L'chaim! L'chaim! To life! When a sinner thinks about that, you can go from despair to all of a sudden having this new life in you because Jesus Christ died on the cross for you. He loves you. He died as an atoning sacrifice to fill your heart with His Spirit so you can really live, to be free to live for God, not following the things of the world, not following the wealth and everything the world happens to offer and not being satisfied. I kidded around. My dad is there in the audience, and he's half falling asleep. But I don't feel bad. We were at a Messianic fellowship, part of God's divine providence. There was a man at the graduation ceremony who invited them to come, and he did that too. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. My allowance, I know. All right. So, I hear you. Blessing and honor, join me if you will, glory and power belongs unto Him who sits on the throne and unto His Lamb that takes away the sins of the world forever and ever. That's in the book of the Revelation. If you have anything in this life, health, wealth, friends, family, God gave it to you. He gave it to you. He loves you. Look at all the things we have in life. All blessing and honor and glory and power be unto Him who sits on the throne and unto His Lamb forever and ever. Is there someone here tonight who's not part of God's glorious kingdom? You know, you can attend church all you want and not be saved. Do you have l'chaim? L'chaim? Are you rejoicing? Or is this some sort of religious exercise that we do every Sunday? Can you really say you live under Christ and that Christ lives in you? One day, God is going to put down all His enemies, all the people who rebelled against Jesus the Messiah, all who said, "No, I will justify myself before a holy God. No, if you want to be part of his kingdom, if you want everlasting life, if you want l'chaim, if you want to be one of God's children, you must receive his son, Jesus. That's the only way. And we know there's war. We talked about that Memorial Day. But one day God is going to put down all wickedness like Haman, all rebels against God's children, God's covenant people, from which salvation comes. All his foes he will put down. That's wonderful. I look forward to that day where there's no sin and no unrighteousness, and God will bring safety to his people. Are you fighting against God? Anyone? Can I tell you something? The minute you give up the fight, and you recognize that all blessing and honor and glory and power come from the one who sits in the throne and his Lamb that takes away the sins of the world, the one that died for you, the one that purchased your l'chaim. Once you surrender, the Spirit of the Lord, in the most beautiful and loving way, enters into your heart. And you are convicted that you know that you're a sinner who has been fighting God your whole life. I remember that 7 years ago. Jesus never did anything bad to me. He just was sent from heaven to die on a cross because I'm a sinner. God wants me to have l'chaim. He died and was buried. And on the third day, God raised him from the dead. He sits on the throne, at the right hand of the Father, the place of promise. He is the Jews' Messiah. I talk to Jewish people. I'm sure I'm going to have a long talk with my dad after this. And people say he hasn't come, he hasn't come. How many Jewish people do you talk to? Anybody? Let's raise a hand. And there are many, many Jewish people who are coming to Wake Forest. All the time. There are people from New York and people from New Jersey. You talk to these people? Anyone? Can you raise your hand? No? No? You know what I'd like you to do? And we're going to close in just a minute, okay? Somehow it got cooler in here. When you talk to a Jewish person, I want you to put your arm around them. And I want you to look at them in the eye and to say, I just want to thank you. Because I have l'chaim. I have salvation, God's Spirit living in me. I have real joy and peace with God. I'm going to be part of his kingdom, you know. Thank you. I know that salvation, I know that the Messiah comes through the Jew. Thank you. I assure you that they'll appreciate that. They need to know that the Messiah is their Messiah. He has come. And he's coming again. And when he comes again this time, he's coming to set up that kingdom. A new heaven and a new earth. And we could all clap together. L'chaim, l'chaim, to life. I won't sing If I Were a Rich Man. Don't worry. I won't do that. But that's what's missing in people's lives, is l'chaim.